Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Fortnite Battle Royale tips and tricks video for Season 10 aka Season X. In tonight's video we are going to be talking about how to aim better and how to have perfect aim in Season 10. Going to be breaking down a couple of the reasons why or the common mistakes people make to have bad accuracy and how those can be fixed, and also talk about specific tips on how to get your assault rifle or your long range weapon accuracy up, your shotgun accuracy and damage up, and then your finishing weapon, of course, as well, which is going to be your SMG, your drum gun, or whatever that is when you swap out from your shotgun. I'm going to talk about all that and more in tonight's video. If you could drop a like on this thing, that would be absolutely amazing. Let's go ahead and go for 600 likes. If you could hit that, that would be awesome. Smack that like button and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and not already subscribed, and let's get right into it. So, first of all, the three main reasons why people have bad accuracy or missed shots in this game, at least the most obvious or common reasons that I would say, is number one, a bad sensitivity. Now this one is fairly obvious. You can find out by simply just watching a player for a little bit, or even if you're playing by yourself, if you don't have anyone that watches your gameplay, you sort of have to self-analyze and be honest about that. But people that have a bad sensitivity, usually it's the case where the sensitivity is just a little bit too high and they are missing shots more than it is helping them being able to snap on targets. That is just a case of a bad sensitivity. Sometimes it can be that the sensitivity is too low, but the majority of the time it is that people overly put it up too high and aren't able to control the shots as well as they think. The next mistake is either shooting too quickly or panicking. You see this happen a lot when players get up very, very close or in the same 1-by-1 in shotgun fights as well, where players rush that shot and they might hit for like 30 or 40 to the body, but if they had taken that extra split second to line up that shot, they could have got a boom 150 or even a 200 headshot with a blue pump or something like that. So that is a common mistake as well. And then number three, I would say, would be not knowing where to aim or health tracking, which happens a lot where going into a fight, usually enemies are going to have 150 or 200 health, and usually it is safe to assume that unless you are like third party in a very, very active fight or something like that. And keeping track of a player's health is very important. So if I go into a fight and I have the blue pump, of course off the start of that fight, I need to be going for that headshot and trying to hit for the maximum amount of damage that I can. However, if I already hit for a player for 150 health with the blue pump, when I switch over to that SMG, knowing that I don't really have to spray for the head because I know I have such a health advantage, I just want to be able to probably hip fire that SMG and finish off the kill. If I realize my pump shot only hit for 20, maybe then I would want to make up for that or compensate with that by using my SMG and increasing the time to kill by spraying for the head. So health tracking can really lead you to knowing where to aim and can help improve your accuracy in this game as well. So let's go into some specific tips for each of these weapons. First of all, for the slot number one, and in the slot number one, you're usually going to be carrying an assault rifle. So the first tip with an assault rifle is whenever you are crouched, you are going to be more accurate with an AR. It's just always been like this in Fortnite, and of course when you are standing still as well. So the best is crouched and standing still. Now that will of course make you a little bit of an easy target to hit. So a way that you'll see a lot of professional players or good players do this is with more of like a stop and pop sort of attitude, where they especially if you're tap firing at a distance, where you sort of are moving ever so slightly, just so if someone has a sniper and has you lined up, they're not able to get that perfect shot in, but you still are able to maintain your shot. Next tip for an assault rifle is your target sensitivity. This is what's going to be very, very important. When it comes to your X and Y sensitivities, those don't affect when you are aiming down sights, or they do in general because that's what you're building off, but the slowdown and when you are aiming down sights, it's going to be your target sense, and that's what affects your AR aim the most, because most of the time, let's be honest, you're not hip firing with an assault rifle, you are shooting people down at distance. So making sure your target sensitivity is very nice. Now I made a best settings video the other day, I definitely recommend checking out, but and watch this fight right here. I get stuck because of this tree where I can't jump out of this 1-by-1. So unfortunate, and basically I get killed by the trap, but I still get the kill, which really does suck. I hate fighting and build fighting around like trees or areas like that. It's always been the worst, and back when there was Dusty Divot, that was like a huge problem. I remember all the build fights down there, which would just be super duper complicated and crazy. You get stuck, so things like that. Target sensitivity, mine is a 0.43. I talk about it more in depth on my settings video, but making sure with this one, you want it to be slow, and don't be afraid to slow this one down, making sure your accuracy is good at range. This is what's going to happen when you are aiming down sights, and this is probably the number one setting that will affect your assault rifle aim. So if your aim is bad, just test it out by lowering it maybe a couple points, maybe by 0.05, and then testing it out and experimenting like that. Next thing with an AR is knowing where to aim. Now, with something like a shotgun, the majority of the time you're probably aiming for the head. With an AR, it's not really like that. The majority of the time, you're probably just aiming at the body. But whenever you do see players that are either standing still or don't have much movement, those are the type of players where I like to aim for the head and try to get that extreme damage in, because your assault rifles will have a 2 times headshot multiplier, so it is very, very important. However, if someone is, super far away or anything like that, I wouldn't worry too much and just try to hit your shots, or if someone is gliding through the air. But if you do have those easy shots, you see someone farming, standing still, or your third party and someone just standing there lining up a shot, making sure that pre-damage in those first couple shots are accurate and aimed to the head is very, very important. If the enemy is giving that to you, make sure you can convert on it. So those are tips I would give as far as how to aim better with the assault rifles. Most of your fights are going to be, like I said, aim down sights at a distance with that, and I think those tips are things you can focus on. Adjusting the setting with your target sense can help you aim better with that. Next is shotgun. Now, the first thing with shotgun, and with shotguns, there is a bunch of tips that can help you aim better, and know specifically where to aim, because that is very important as well. Now, know your multiplier and your situation. What I mean by this is know your multiplier of what your shotgun's headshot multiplier is. So the combat shotgun is a 1.5, the pump shotgun is a 2, the tac shotgun, I believe, is a 2.25. But knowing those multipliers, or just knowing in general, and knowing to your situation is very, very important. So if I have a blue pump, and a brand new player is rushing me, I know that first shot I want to go for that headshot, because this guy probably has 150 to 200 health. If I hit a guy at distance with my gold scar for 150, like I hit a couple headshots and a body shot, and I jump pad over there, now this player, while he might be pop a mini or two, he probably hasn't had time to fully heal up, so I'm not too concerned with that next shot of trying to hit that player in the head, because a body shot would probably get the damage done. And now in that situation, if they did have time to pop a mini or two, then I probably still would go for the headshot. If you're right on a player right away after hitting them for 100 or 150, they have only 60 or 50 health left, that's where you can just pop them in the body shot, and if that doesn't convert, be ready to switch to your finishing weapon. Can really help with your accuracy there. So knowing where to aim, because hitting headshots is not that easy with a shotgun. No, obviously you want to do it the majority of the time, but knowing when you're in that situation where you don't necessarily need a headshot because you've already done the majority of the damage can be important as well. My next tip I wrote down here for shotguns is just headshots are key. Like I talked about with ARs, where you don't always have to aim for the head. With shotguns, the majority of the time, probably you should be thinking to aim for the head, unless, a situation like I just talked about where the enemy is very, very weak. But the majority of the time, you should be thinking to aim for the head. Next tip with shotguns is right-hand advantage. If you are in a doorway, and this helps a lot in buildings or towns or cities like a tilted towers where there are a lot of buildings. If you are on the left side of a doorway and you're peeking the doorway from the left side moving to the right compared to from the right side moving to the left, peeking from standing on the left side of a doorway and moving to the right is a lot better, just because of how the players are in this game, which all the players are right-handed, with how they hold the shotguns. So you get right-hand advantage, and because of that camera angle, you actually get to see the enemy and get your sort of gun up and camera angle in there before the enemy does, which of course gives you an advantage and an extended time to line up that shot and be better with your accuracy. So that's an extra tip I would say as far as shotguns. And the next thing is just not panicking when you do get in close with those shotguns. This is something that I've been focusing on a lot more lately, and it really does help with shotgun aim. You see a lot of good players do this, and that is don't rush and don't panic the shots unless you have like a drum or a tac or something like that. If you have a combat or you have a pump, the majority of the time you want to, even with the tac and with the drum sometimes, you want to take your time and you want to line up those shots and just boom, boom. With a pump, I'm trying to do one big hit and then switch into a finishing weapon, and with the combat, I'm trying to do probably 2 to 3 hits to take them out by being accurate and trying to hit those headshots. Taking that extra split second to line up that headshot on a new target is usually worth it and will help you out with that. More tips for slot number 3, your finishing weapon, is basically know the enemy's health. As a finishing weapon or SMG, you're usually going to be using that after, hitting the enemy before with either an AR or a shotgun. So knowing how much health the enemy has compared to how much health you have helps you to know where to aim. If I have 200 health, I just smacked a guy for 150 with the shotgun. I'm just going to spray hip fire down with my SMG, not really worry about it. But if I need a fast time to kill, that's where you're more going to aim for the head. And tips for aiming with the SMG SMGs is if the closer the enemy is, the more you need to be free to hip fire and not be so worried about aiming down sights. Hip firing can be very, very helpful with those SMGs, and if you're aiming down sights and the enemy is up too close, sometimes you can get sort of lost in that and miss shots. So hip firing is definitely the way to go if they are much more in close to you. Next thing with SMGs is also use these things to pressure people and to spam, because you can sort of sometimes sneak shots through builds, and whenever you're doing that, putting pressure on a build, you might as well just line it up with the player's head, so that if you do get those shots to sneak through, instead of hitting for 20, they're hitting for 40, 42, or whatever it is, which is very, very nice and puts a lot more pressure on that player with an SMG. Hopefully these tips did help you guys out for how to be more accurate, as well as how to do more damage with these specific weapons and stuff in Season 10. Thanks for watching, guys. Drop a like, subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one, and I'm out. Peace.